there is no recession.
Did you hear that? They asked him, like, is there a recession?
In our forecast, there is no recession.
He says there is no recession on the horizon. And so a lot of us got to be able to look at each other and go, BS. So the Bank of Canada is grabbing the economy, just pounding the economy as much as it can and slapping you across the face and saying, stop spending money, and everyone keeps spending money. Or are they? And the rates are up again. 7.2% is what the prime rate is today. So they raised their rate to 5%. Unbelievable. It is crazy what is happening these days. We have never seen monetary policy go up this fast in history, and the economy is still fighting the Fed. Remember that there's an expression, don't fight the Fed, don't fight the central bank, and man alive are the markets, the housing market, actually putting up a fight. So we got a lot to cover today, but I'm going to be showing you some of the video of the question and answer period, specifically what happened, what is going to be happening in the future, and what key indicators you could be looking at to help you make a lot more money with inflation as everybody else is losing money. Let's get into right away what he was talking about. We talk about this all the time. What clues is he leaving behind? So let's first go here and listen to what he has to say.
Very forcefully. It was the most rapid increase in the Bank of Canada's history. And so it made sense to pause. We know monetary policy works with a lag. We knew it was going to take some time for those rapid interest rate increases to feed through to the economy.
So again, what he is bringing up here, what he is saying is it takes time for it to get into the economy. How long? We talk about this all the time on the channel. 18 months. 18 months it takes for that lag to come into effect, meaning when they raise those interest rates, it takes 18 months for it to show up. It hasn't even shown up today. Please note this because he mentioned this 3 times in the first 5 minutes. All right, let's go to the second part I wanted to show you guys. So in the very, very opening remarks of the question period, he's talking about lag, the lag. Remember that, 18 months from the last time that they raised rates. All right, next.
One decision at a time. We've laid out our forecast for inflation. We've been clear about the indicators that we're following, and we're doing our best to balance the risks.
All right, so he has laid out the indicators that he is following, guys. This is very clear as well. He has told us that he is looking at core inflation, so not all inflation, core inflation, which is services, and he is looking at the jobs market, and they want a softening of the jobs market. Softening or bring it into better balance. I'm using their words. Those are the indicators that they're looking at. I'm going to show you it just after this video. All right, so let's go back and talk to him. Now, let's talk about the lag again that he keeps talking about.
We also know that monetary policy works with a lag. So we know that the full effects of the past interest rate increases we've already done have not fed through. We will be seeing that impact going forward.
Did you notice that the lag effect, again, 18 months that it takes for actually to hit you has not hit? Did you hear what he just said? It hasn't even taken effect yet. It's going to take time, and it's going to get a lot worse. 3 times he mentioned that in the first 5 minutes of the question period. I cannot stress that enough. You guys have to be able to see this coming. Okay, the third time that he mentions it, why do I keep harping on this? Is because I get these calls every day and people are just not paying attention to this.
We know that increases are feeding through. They're having an impact, and there's more to come. But what the total impact of those interest rates is ultimately is uncertain.
So he says they have felt an impact. They have felt an impact, and there is more to come, which means That lag effect again, we have not seen the full effect of it. When those interest rates go up, it's not like the whole market bang shuts down a cliff over the next day. It takes time for that to happen. And we've had 10 of them in a row. So it's super important that we're paying attention to what this guy is talking about. All right. So why is it taking so long? Well, first of all, it's a known phenomenon. Okay. There's writings on this for 100 years. Okay. But why do they think that it's taking so long? Let's hear.
The savings they accumulated over the course of the pandemic, you can see 3/4 of households have accumulated quite a bit more savings than they had prior to the pandemic. And then the other thing that we think is supporting.
So first of all, the savings, we've covered this many, many times on the channel, many times. There is no savings in Canada's bank accounts, and there is none in the United States. It's at record lows that we have not seen since the 50s. For sure, a year ago, there was money there, but now that inflation is biting, it's not there anymore. So I don't really think that they can use that as an excuse why nobody's feeling the pinch. Everyone is just savings. What is that supposed to mean? Everyone is just sitting on money? Okay. Then they asked them straight up, you guys, I want an honest answer from you. Is there or is there not a recession?
There is no recession.
Did you hear that? They asked them, like, is there a
It is
recession?
in our forecast, there is a path back to price stability while maintaining growth. So there is no recession.
He says there is no recession on the horizon. And so a lot of us got to be able to look at each other and go, BS? There's no way. We are already in a recession. You guys know that we've been talking about that since last summer. Of course, we're in a recession, you guys. That's a little crazy town that we're even having that conversation. Okay, we're getting here. I only have 2 more I wanted to show you about his questions.
We think basically that there's 3 things that are providing more underlying support to demand in the economy.
Wanting to know, why is there
First
no
of all,
recession?
the labor market remains tight. The unemployment rate, it has ticked up a bit, but it's still historically low levels. Wage growth's been running 4 to 5%. That's above what would be consistent with achieving price stability. We're seeing some easing in the labor market, but it's been more gradual than we expected. The other element, Carolyn already mentioned, most households have accumulated savings through the pandemic. That may be buffering them now from the effects of inflation and higher interest rates on their budget and supporting consumption.
She's nodding along. Yeah, lots
of
savings.
Population growth. Population growth has increased.
So they talked about that several times about immigration. Okay. And immigration, when there's a lot of people that come to any country, it doesn't matter if it's Canada, the States, it doesn't matter where we're talking about. Whenever there's a lot of immigration that comes into one country, what then happens? They all have to go get a job. And so now they're like, well, there's too many jobs. Everybody's working. Yeah, because there's a lot of people that came in. Also, don't you think that million people that came in last year all have to go buy groceries? Well, yeah. And they're like, excess demand. There's too much demand. So guys, there's always a lot of layers to this. And this is why I want you to always be asking questions. Okay. Now, he lastly wants to say what things actually have gone up. What have gone up? And I'm wondering from you, leave a comment below it. And I want to know what you have found, what things have gone up. Let's see what he says went up.
If you look across the basket, meat's up 6%, bread's up 13%, coffee's up 8%, baby food's up 9%. If you look at food overall, food in stores overall, it's up 9%. Rent's up 6%.
Damn.
If you look at, there's also a range of other services that are over 5%. If you're planning to take a family holiday this summer, hotel prices are up 13% from last summer, restaurants up 7%. So
guys, you see all of these costs that keep going up and up and up and up. This is what happens when you print a lot of money, and it always takes time to soak into that. So let's go directly, because we don't like conjecture, right? We like to just speak facts. This is not a political channel. It never has been, never will. But we want to know straight from them, okay? What are they saying is the inflation. So right now, according to them, inflation is 5% and inflation is only 3.4%, excuse me, but their rate is at 5. So if we want to just take a look at what their inflation is, this is on the Bank of Canada website. You can go look this up. Bank of Canada website. In 2020, we know that they started printing money like crazy, hundreds of billions of dollars being printed. But notice that nothing happened until when? This spring of 2021. So they were able to print hundreds of billions of dollars in Canada, trillions of dollars in the United States, and nothing happened for a year. And then look at the beast that got unleashed. Now look, last spring, they started upping the rates in February, but look, after they upped it, it still was going up. So this is like a giant ship with a very little rudder, and they changed that interest rate. It takes time for that beast to turn. That's what you're seeing right here. It takes time for inflation to turn. Now, where are we sitting right now? You could just take a ruler and draw this straight down. We will be going down, but it's a little bit like the Biggest Loser. It's always easy to lose your weight between 600 pounds and 500 pounds. That happens quick, but to get it down from 3% down to 2%, it's really tough. It's like that last 20 pounds is very, very tough. And so this is where it's going to become even harder, and they think it's going to be till 2025. So where are we? United States right now is at 5.25%, and Canada should be tied with them. But like we saw here, we're only at 5%. So we're still below where the United States are. And the United States say they have to raise it 2 more times, bringing up to 5.75. So that is probably where Canada should be seeing its rate sitting at 5.75. Now, what are they looking at? They said very clearly in the meeting that they know the indicators that they are looking at. So in Bank of Canada's case, they're looking at trim, median, and common inflation here, and they really want to look at services and core CPI, same as the United States. But here they're also looking at employment. Now, employment increased by 60,000 in Canada. They were only expecting 20,000. So an enormous amount of work was created. A majority of it was in Ontario. No big surprise there. A lot of it in wholesale and retail trade was the biggest one, manufacturing. But look at that, 21,000 jobs in social assistance. That's really, really tough. All right, so how are we going to pay for it? Canada is going to have to pay for all of this. How are we going to pay? Through pandemic, through our tax dollars. So every time that you are paying higher prices for your food, higher prices for gas, higher prices for everything, this is all coming back because of what was overspent. Now, this is not about left, right. We're never laying blame to any government. That's not what we do here. We're not saying whether they should or should not have spent the money. But this is the reaction. When we spend $309 billion and the States spends $10 trillion, when that happens, we'll see massive inflation on everything. So where are we going to go from here? So right now, the markets are betting that there is a 75% chance of a hike on September 6th, 75% chance that there is going to be another rate hike. And the majority of that is sitting back because we had 60,000 jobs added in June, which is a huge amount of work ahead of them for these rates. Now, here is the thing. They say global inflation is easing because of lower energy prices. Please understand that this year, the price of oil has collapsed since January. And look at where you've seen the majority of the down here. The majority of the down was because of gas prices. Zero control for Bank of Canada or the United States, because lower energy prices is lower because the economy is slowing down and there's less being used in manufacturing. So this is a byproduct of that. How is the United States looking at right now? Total employment increased by $209,000, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. 209,000 in the month of June. Ridiculous. But let's look a little bit into the future. Over the last 12 months, all items in the index only increased by 3% in the United States. Remember, the United States, or the world reserve currency, and we have to look at the largest trading partner of Canada. So the Bureau of Labor Statistics just spoke this week saying that it's only up 3%. So maybe, just maybe, if oil prices can hold, then the ceiling that we should see in Canada is 5.5%. Again, we're at 5% today, and it may go up about another 0.5% for us to keep up with the United States. So this is a sign of good news that it's hit 3% in the United States. That is a very, very good thing for us to know. So I thought this really was an interesting article on the American Institute for Economic Research saying appropriately measuring inflation and deflation teaches humility, because it is very, very complicated in order to do this. So an example for how you can do that is how you can make money with own inflation in your own country. There's several metrics that you have to look into. Number one, we have to look at the M2 money supply growth. How much money have they printed year over year out of thin air? You might have to give a number to that. Maybe you were 6% M2 money supply growth. How much did the GDP grow? If the GDP grew, then it will actually pull down inflation, which is a good thing. Government spending. Did the government spend more or less? We can tack in our numbers, whatever they are. What is the supply chain pressure based on the worldwide indexes on the grains that your country is bringing in, or on the technology that they're bringing in? Maybe it's only going to be bringing up 3% toward your inflation. Technology, AI is absolutely fantastic, or new farming equipment. Maybe they were able to pull that inflation down by 3%, which I hope that they do. Maybe on the DXY, your dollar is increasing against a breadbasket of other currencies. Taxes in your local area may be going up or down, which will add to your inflation. So if you have the proper calculator to work through this, you're going to find out what your total nominal inflation is, the number that you need to beat in order not to lose. Remember, the goal is always to increase your purchasing power, not the number of dollars, not the currency units. We are never chasing currency units. We are chasing purchasing power. So we need to come up with good calculators to know how to do this. You cannot trust the numbers that are coming from your individual governments. Anyway, I wish you guys the very, very best. I hope that you have a fantastic day, and I hope that this helped you a lot. We're going to continue to get a lot of beatings from the market these days. A lot of beatings are going to be on the way. So I wish you guys the very, very best. Have a great day. We'll talk to you soon.